Hey everyone, stay tuned after the game for a quick chat with Casey in the special edition of Quizzy Fun Trivia that we call a head-to-head. Also, it's the first time we filmed before a live studio audience. Welcome to Quizzy Fun Trivia, episode 34. I am very excited today. We have a head-to-head with one Casey Burke, and you'll get to know Casey. But more importantly, it's our first time having a live studio audience. Audience, say hello. Hello. This is, some of you know this, I'm a teacher, and we're filming this for a group of middle school students. Casey, say hello.
Hello, good to be here.
This is please stay tuned after the show for a segment that we call Quizzy Chats. Where you'll get to know Casey a little bit better after this. It's pretty fun. So here's how it works. You, the audience, is going to play against Casey. We're going to play 3 rounds of 5 questions. Every round gets a new category. If Casey gets all of the questions correct, if you get all of the questions correct at home playing, that's what we call a Quizzy. But today, audience, can you beat a middle school teacher?
I don't know. I think I've got my work cut out for me. Some of these guys are really bright. So
Here we go. Moving on to round 1.
Round 1.
The category for round 1 is the NFL. Question number 1. Which NFL team is considered America's team?
That would be the Dallas Cowboys.
Correct. Question number 2. Which team drafted Peyton Manning as the overall number 1 pick in 1998?
The Indianapolis Colts.
That is correct. Question number 3 of the NFL. Hey, Mr. Burke, you're doing really well.
Thank you, sir.
Question number 3 of the NFL. Which is the only team to go undefeated in the regular season and win the Super Bowl?
That would be the 1972 Miami Dolphins.
Correct. Very good. And the 1972 Miami Dolphins.
Larry Zonka, baby.
They like to rub it in our faces all the time.
Yes, they
The
do.
Patriots almost did this
They
once.
almost did. 16-1, right?
16-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, they lost. All right, question number 4. Which wide receiver holds the record for the most career receiving yards?
Jerry Rice.
That is correct. The great Jerry Rice. You guys can cheer for that.
Woo!
For you listeners, the middle school students are being very good.
Very professional.
I asked them to be a good audience, but they can cheer when it's appropriate and laugh. All right, question number 5, the last one of this round. Brett Favre, a Green Bay Packer great, made a cameo in which 1998 movie that starred Cameron Diaz and Ben Stiller?
Is it There's Something About Mary?
Correct.
I was a little nervous, but I'm feeling a little bit better now. Okay, good.
All right, moving on to round 2.
Round 2.
The category for round 2 is comedies. These are comedy movies or comedy shows. Here we go. Question number 1. Andy Samberg plays Rod Kimball, a self-proclaimed stuntman, in which 2007 comedy movie?
Oh, there's not a better storyline in any comedy. I think that would be Hot Rod.
That is correct.
Woo.
All right, question number 2. In which comedy TV show does an American football coach head to London to manage the AFC Richmond soccer team?
Ooh, would that be Led Tasso or Ted Lasso?
Quit messing with me. Ted Lasso, correct. All right, question number 3 of comedies. In which comedy movie does Will Ferrell's character, Ricky Bobby, enjoy praying to the baby Jesus?
Oh, Dear 6 pound, 11 ounce baby Jesus. Talladega Nights.
That is correct. Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby.
The Ballad of Ricky Bobby.
That's correct. I'll give it to you.
Thank you.
All right, question number 4. From which comedy movie do we get quotes like, "Strange things are afoot in the Circle K," and "All we are is dust in the wind, dude"?
Dust, wind, dude. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Correct.
Love it.
Correct. Very good.
Strange things are afoot.
All right, question number 5. Now, Mr. Burke, I don't want to put any unnecessary pressure on you.
Oh, no.
But Jake Ballantyne, the first head-to-head that I did in episode 22,
don't remind me.
got a Quizzy, his first time playing.
He did.
You have gotten...
Hats off to Jake, by the way.
You have gotten 9 questions correct. 6 more to go.
Oh, man. It's like...
I mean, no pressure.
It's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire pressure. All right. And the questions probably get harder as we go. All right.
All right, question number 5, the last one of Comedies. In season 5, episode 12 of which show does Cartman fight for Kenny's life by speaking before Congress in favor of stem cell research?
You're busting my chops. He doesn't say chops, but that would be South Park.
Correct, South Park.
Yes. All right.
Woo! All right, here's the true test for you, Mr.
Oh,
Burke.
no.
Moving
Okay.
on to round 3.
All right.
Round 3.
The category for round 3 is Peaky Blinders. Peaky Blinders is a television show. Question number 1. What is the name of the main character and leader of the Peaky Blinders?
Thomas Shelby.
Yep, Tommy Shelby. Correct. Question number 2. In what city is Peaky Blinders primarily set?
Birmingham, England.
Correct. The answer is Birmingham, England. Question number 3. Which famous American gangster is referenced in season 4 of Peaky Blinders?
Al Capone.
Correct, Al Capone.
2 more. All right, here we go.
Here we go. Question number 4. Which character is introduced as a Jewish gangster in season 2?
This is my favorite character. It's Alfie Solomons, played by Tom Hardy.
Correct, Alfie Solomons. By the way, Casey Burke has a striking resemblance to Tom Hardy.
Without the beard and without the long hair, I've been. Well, I'll tell you after you interview. I'll tell you a funny story about that.
Save it.
I'll save it.
Save it.
I'll save it.
Save it.
Okay. Gosh, no pressure.
Question number 5, the last one of this round and the last one of today's Quizzy. Now, Casey, no pressure.
Oh gosh, it's so much pressure. What are you talking about?
No pressure, but if you get this question correct, I'm not going to lie, it's kind of a hard question.
Oh, okay. All right.
But you would be the second person to win a Quizzy on the show, but the first to do it in front of a live studio audience.
All right.
All right, here we go.
I'm ready. Fire.
Question number 5. How many actors play the role of Winston Churchill throughout the entirety of the show?
I know of 2 for sure, and I know the age progression. I'm going to take a wild guess, and if I get it wrong, I'm sorry, audience, that I wasn't able to do it. But I'm going to say, I'm going to go with the number 3. Thank you guys. All right. Wow. I appreciate it. Wow. Okay, I've got tingles. I got chills.
Hey, thanks for playing, everyone, but stay tuned. It's not over. for a quick segment that we like to call Quizzy Chats. So, Casey,
Yes.
really good job.
Thank you.
I could tell you were really sweating
I was.
that last question.
Oh man, I just didn't want to let the kids down, you know.
It's always for the kids, you know
It's
what I
always
mean?
for the kids.
It's always for doing it for the kids.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if you guys don't know this, if you come and do a head-to-head with me, there's a couple of ways you get to do it. Either I send you a list of like 20 categories, and you say, oh, I'm strongest in these categories. So you get to pick your categories. Or you could just send me 3 categories you want me to create questions for. I really like this. For example, because I learned about Peaky Blinders. I've never watched the show. So the guest who comes on, I guess they know the categories, but they don't know the questions. So I guess maybe there's a little bit of an advantage because they know, I forgot how long we planned this, but you knew for a while. So I guess you could have been studying.
I'll be honest with you. I studied for 15 minutes this morning,
Okay.
but I did know the categories though, which was helpful.
Okay, so first of all, why are you such a big fan of Peaky Blinders?
It is the only show besides maybe The Simpsons and Family Guy that I have seen more than twice. It's something that's kind of just a guilty pleasure of mine. I know it's not necessarily kid friendly per se, but it is one of my favorite shows. And I think it just resonates a lot with that. The dress, I love the style of the 1910s, 20s, and the whole overall feel of the show. I get into it.
Cool,
So,
very nice. Have you been an NFL fan your whole life?
I have. I was going to bring some pictures for you, but since we can't see anyway, it's okay. But from the time I could walk, I had older brothers that are 9 and 11 years older than me. And there's pictures of me barely able to walk with a football helmet walking around my house.
Okay.
I've always been a big stat guy. So when I played Little League, I'd get the newspaper, the Salt Lake Tribune, cut out all the scores, and I would do like stats. And so I just started doing stats on my own, figuring out which team scored the most points, how much they, and that love of football was brought on by my older brothers and my dad, who played for BYU, and my oldest brother played at Southern Utah University. And I would watch old game films of Dick Butkus, Larry Zonka, Mike Curtis, Crunch Time, all the old highlight films. And that was what I did when I was a kid. I was watching them like, I'm going to be like those guys. I'm going to be like Mike Allstott. I'm going to get the big neck roll and just run through people. So
I mean, you went pretty far with football. I think farther than most people.
Yeah.
So talk about that. You played Little League. You played in high school.
Yeah. So the year that the arena football team, the Utah Blaze, folded, I was on my way there. They folded, and then there was a new team that came out called the Utah Argonauts. I played for, I call it quarter pro, but it was supposed to be the minor league of the NFL. So I played a year with them, and as most football teams don't have the financial ability to sustain 55 players and pay them, they also folded.
Yeah.
But I got to play with guys who had Super Bowl rings who were on my team.
That's
and
cool.
I got to, I was played linebacker for them, and it was a lot of fun. I played junior college in Glendora for a school called Citrus Community College, Go Owls, and started at Dixie State, now Utah Tech University, and transferred because it was a Division II school and I had aspirations to play D1. So I thought the junior college route would be more of a way into that, and then ended up just playing 9-man football in the UTFL, Utah Tackle Football League, and the Rocky Mountain Football League. And so those leagues are still in existence. And I got noticed by the coach for the Argonauts, did a little pick six, and he said, hey, do you want to come play for a pro team? I was like, where? He's like, here. I was like, oh, sure. So that's how it all happened.
Yeah,
And,
good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you don't know, you could tell that Casey was a football player. He's quite big guy.
Is it the
Big muscles.
The concussions? Is that what you mean?
The concussions. You told me a really funny story once.
Yeah.
Are there any funny stories you'd like to tell me about your time in playing football?
Citrus. Okay, so Pete Carroll, the oldest NFL football coach active as of 2023. I did learn that this morning. That's why I had to mention it. He was on the sideline of a game against Mount Sac, and if you don't know, junior college football in California is its own beast. They don't even play the rest of the country, and you're from California, so
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, Mount Sac is a huge junior college in Southern
And
California.
And shout out to the cross country team at our school. We got first place for the boys and second place for the girls yesterday.
Woo-hoo.
But they do the cross country at Mount Sac.
Yeah.
It's like a national thing.
It's a really big race down there.
Huge race.
Yeah.
And so we were playing Mount Sac. Pete Carroll was on the sideline talking to my coach, Ron Ponciano, And I went up to him, and you have to forgive the language. I know it's 2024, but I thought it would be kind of clever and cute to say, "Hey, Pete, yeah, do you need any slow white DBs at USC?" And he just kind of chuckled, and he's like, "Oh, we'll see." I was like, "Okay, great." So my coach called me out on the field. I went out to the weak side linebacker position, had a quarterback sweep around the end. And if you don't know, Mount Sac has the most insane athletes, and like so good. So their quarterback's about 6'7", probably like a 50-inch vertical. I thought I was going to have a highlight reel hit in front of Pete Carroll, 5 yards away from him. He hurdled me, pushed off the top of my helmet, and ran a 60-yard touchdown. And I just went, oh, my hopes and my dreams shattered right in front of this guy. And he, I got pulled out of the game for a bit, but, it happens.
You have a bunch of them. We won't be able to tell all of the stories, but after your football season's over, your career's over with football, you took it as far as you could, and you took it farther than I did. So what do you do now for a living, and how did that happen?
Yeah, I have had a lot of jobs, but essentially, so just for the sake of time, and I know the studio audience and everything, we got to make sure that we're not prolonging it too long. I was doing sales and a bunch of other things. The football thing didn't bring in, enough to live off of, so everyone on that team had a side hustle or another job. But after football, I went to college, graduated in 2018, so I was a little bit of a late bloomer there. And I was in the hospital for just, my immune system was so low. And I was doing software sales, B2B, and making okay money.
That means business to business.
Oh, you guys know that already, right? Yeah. All right. And I just had a realization that the only job that I ever loved was coaching and teaching. I taught PE in the Salt Lake District and coached at Highland High School, and so I started subbing at the current school that I teach at now. And as I was subbing, as most subs at our school end up full time, that's what happened. So.
Yeah, that's pretty much the state of education right now.
Yeah.
If you're a good sub, they're like,
"Can you stay, please? Like, okay.
Please stay forever." I'm sure. I don't know what's like that in the rest of the country, but here in the state of Utah, it's like that.
Absolutely.
Casey and I are colleagues. I don't want to downplay this, but you're looking at two of the best 8th grade teachers of all time.
In our humble opinion, yeah.
We made them do that. We paid them to do that.
I was like,
you get all A's now.
The applause signal was up and blinking really. Well.
What's been the most rewarding part of being a teacher? For those of you who don't know, teaching, because I'm actually relatively new as well to teaching. I've only been teaching for 6-7 years. I also teach college classes now and stuff, and it's been a very rewarding career move for me. Amazing, actually, but it's also one of the most difficult things I've ever done in my entire life. Yeah. It's very tough. So what's the most rewarding part for you?
Well, since you mentioned it, you do take work home with you, and I happen to be... I don't have a family like you do and kids of my own, so I consider my class my adopted kids, right? But work follows me home in the sense that as teachers, like you mentioned, we're always thinking about the next thing, preparing lessons, like the time off the clock, because we're not, salaried employees. There's no real end to the madness. So I think the most rewarding part, without a doubt, is just my class, the Sparrow class. So give it up. And of course, the Maple class, of course. Love all you guys as well. But it's been great. I've been with the same class. I've got just because I am the teacher of the Sparrow class, I've been with them, and something very unique about our school and the way that Waldorf education works is that we move up with our classes every year. So I've had the same group of kids, the same core group of kids for the last 4 years. Yeah. It's
really unique, Waldorf education.
Yeah, I think Groundhog's Day would hit if I taught the same grade year in and year out.
Totally.
And so we get to learn new curriculum. We get to learn with the kids. I'm learning math all over again because, man, I don't know if you're having the same experience, but
that's the beautiful thing about Waldorf education, and we try to bring the curriculum, make it alive in the kids, but in order for us to do that, it has to become alive in the teacher. And so every year we learn a new curriculum, and every other teacher I know says, you're crazy. Why would you do that?
It's an abstract concept to everyone else.
Because it's very foreign for us.
Quite literally foreign.
Yeah. Me and you both started with our groups of kids in 5th grade, and they'll continue to have a class teacher through 8th grade here, and then they'll go on to traditional high schools like every other kid. but it's a lot of work for us because we have to learn something new every single year, a whole new curriculum.
100%.
But because it's new on us, it becomes alive in us, and we try to give that to the kids. Now, I think some of the kids would argue this is not alive in me because they're 13 and 14 right now.
Well, it's the age of revolution, man.
Totally.
I mean, that's the inner gesture is to rebel and to go off and find greener pastures, but they're stuck with us for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Then we'll let them fly.
Hey, you're pretty awesome, though.
You're pretty awesome.
Thanks.
You're the guy.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. The last thing I want to talk to you about is you started something a couple of years ago. You started following this guy named Wim Hof,
Yes.
this Dutch dude.
Yeah.
So who the heck is Wim Hof?
Oh, man.
And what is this Wim Hof method?
I don't know if my class is bored of this by now, but the Wim Hof method is essentially a repackaged version of yoga, breathing, meditation, cold exposure that Wim has really created to be user-friendly. And the Wim Hof method itself is centuries old, but like I said, he's repackaged it. So there's three parts to it. One is the mind, that and body, that you're, the yoga, the getting stronger, and the physical part, which is the least common or known part about Wim Hof. The biggest things is he's also known as the Iceman. So if you guys just Google the Iceman, you'll go down a rabbit hole that could take days to learn everything and see all his accolades. But he has like 100 Guinness World Records for cold exposure and heat exposure. And the reason why it's so cool is because he's able to control his immune system essentially and override things that scientists never thought were possible through scientific confirmation. University studies, he has proven this, was injected with a bacteria and trained 16 regular guys to do the method with him, and in a week they all had no symptoms from this bacteria that they injected into them. And then the 14 people who didn't know the method completely had, sick, vomiting, fever, and the guys that were doing the breathing method were able to spike their adrenals and everything else. So I could talk all day about the benefits of it, but I'll just, for narrowing it down, it's the only biohack that works instantly. So if you want to improve mood, improve depression, improve anxiety, in your management of that, the breathing method and cold exposure, it's phenomenal.
So I have done many times with you personally. So Casey's all in. So you went and visited. You did one of his seminars.
Yeah.
You guys were you in Poland or were you in Czech Republic?
Poland and the Czech Republic. Yeah.
And so you did that last year, and you went for this week-long retreat that Wim does with a bunch of people. And it's kind of like a lot of people come from all over the world to do this with him.
Yeah.
And you were so into this. And so you made me start doing ice baths with you.
I did, yeah.
And I remember the first time we did it together, it was me, you, and another teacher, one of our colleagues that used to work with us, ironically, a Dutch guy named Roel Optenda.
Yeah.
And we were in Roel's backyard. There was snow on the ground. He left his tub out all night.
That's right.
And there was ice on the top, and it was my first time doing it with you. And you jumped in and did it, and you're like, it's no big deal. It's like bath water to you.
Oh, man.
Rule gets in, he jumps out in about 30 seconds. And then I'm like, I'm doing this. Ooh, ooh. And I just jumped in and I powered through for, I don't know how long I was in that first time.
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, it was just funny, but the more I got into it, I knew that ice bathing is just really good for your body, just from all of the sports I played in my years. And we would ice bath, and you just wouldn't sore the next day, or less sore at least.
Yeah.
And it was really good. But it changed for me when I was doing this with you, because through that whole winter, I would just go ice bathe every night. Didn't matter how cold it was, and the 3 minutes or whatever, it was not a big deal.
Yeah.
And the 5 minutes became not a big deal.
Yeah.
So for you personally, what kind of benefits did you personally get out of this Wim Hof method?
Well, firstly, the people that I met, I hope it's okay if I share this with them, the podcast, get a following all over the world, because I still am in contact with my cohort.
You are 100%.
Okay,
yeah,
perfect. The people were phenomenal. It was really eye-opening for me to realize, and I love our country, but the thing about being like one of the only American males there was that I realized how calm and nice and welcoming and warm and just amazing. The people from other countries we had people represented from every continent, and I got to know some really amazing people. A former Mr. Olympia, a guy that lives on an expat that lives in Japan on a fishing island that does like the samurai waterfall thing. But I think that the measurable markers of what has been the biggest impact. I haven't necessarily lost weight or gotten more in shape, but my blood markers were all a little askew. So on the brink of type 2 diabetes, for instance, high blood pressure, and just from ice bathing and doing the breathing method, so I went from like a 150 over 110 blood pressure, now it's like 115 over 70, right? So not even more exercise or changing my diet, and just the amount of stress that I feel, and anxiety, depression, all those things. It makes things more manageable. So when you put yourself into an ice bath, as you know, you're faced with fight or flight.
Yeah.
And if you can push through the fight or flight response, or freeze or fawn, or whatever they have now, like 5 Fs, then you know how to deal with things in life better. Because you go, oh, I recognize this is making me feel this way. We have 2 million years of evolution telling us that we're in danger and the clan's going to abandon us and a saber-tooth tiger's going to eat us or something. But we learn that everything's going to be all right, pretty much. Not everything, but 99% of the time, everything's going to be okay.
What I noticed personally throughout that process and journey with you, just on my own, is that when I first did it, it was breathing super hard, and I just powered through. And you're like, yeah, I knew Woody would just power through. But it became so calming for me.
It's a meditation almost.
Yeah, and you just have to face it.
Yeah.
The great thing is that you started a group here with our school with a bunch of our colleagues.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just us doing it. You put a tub in the back.
I did.
Over by our yurts. And it was cold, snow on the ground. And, I mean, we had other teachers doing it with us, and we would just kind of power through all in this big 250-gallon container.
That's right. I've got a 350-gallon container outside my house, and people come over periodically to do ice baths. It's kind of fun. But we also, the cool part about that, I don't know if you knew this, Mr. Woody, but I can't remember if it was 4 or 5 of my students did it as well.
Yeah, that's great.
When I was here. And 30-degree water, 3 minutes, they powered through it. They have way less body fat than we do, and they were able to push through it. So you can just see the power of the mind is even, in kids. And I love that anyone can have these what Wim calls superpowers. You can be a superhero and control your body and your mind. So
yeah, it's just what Wim does is pretty amazing. Like, there's health benefits. I mean, guy's amazing.
Hiking Mount Everest with just shorts on, I think that's pretty.
Yeah, he's the crazy guy. If you just Google him, you'll see all sorts of crazy pictures and all these people. I saw your picture. You guys had hiked up a mountain with just shorts on and your boots.
That's right.
I think did you have gloves on?
For some of the time. I gave my gloves to a girl that didn't bring some because she thought she could handle it. So I may have gotten a little bit of frostbite on the ends of my fingers. But the funny thing is, you showed me all these pictures. It's just you, and your beard is full of icicles. It's frozen. My leg hairs are completely frozen.
That was pretty great.
Yeah.
So what kind of advice would you give someone interested in the Wim Hof method? Like, what's one piece of advice you could give them if they want to look into this?
You can do it. The exception would be, and there's, look up the WHM Wim Hof Method app, and it's just, it's free. You can download it and just try it. He has all kinds of programs on there, but everyone has this capability, and it is, like I said, the only biohack that I've experienced that makes you feel instantaneously more calm, instantaneously more capable of tackling life and ridding the garbage and de-junking yourself. And then it also has long-term benefits, so it's not just in the moment. But my advice would be download the Wim Hof Method app and give it a look. Just play around with it, and then I'm sure at the end, if anyone wants to contact me, I can give you that information as well, and I can help.
Yeah, I would just also say that here at Quizzy Fun Trivia, we care about the people.
We care.
So if I would say check it out, talk to your doctor if you got to. We don't know what kind of health issues.
So like
if
you're pregnant, for instance, they say don't do the breathing method, right?
Yeah.
And certain things, if you have certain health conditions, absolutely talk to your doctor.
Yeah, talk to your doctor,
100%.
figure out. But there's some real life, both of you, I mean, you especially can attest. I've done some of it, especially the ice bathing side.
Yeah.
And it's been really, really great. So if people want to get a hold of you, Casey Burke, how do they do that?
Unfortunately, because of I worked for Juvenile Justice Services and I've been a school teacher, so I have no social media. But I'm going to be so old-fashioned with this, but I will.
Here's your mailing
respond.
address.
Here's my mailing address. No, it's just cburke, CBURKE at wasatchwaldorf.org would be the best way to get a hold of me. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for coming on.
Thank you. It's been a
Audience,
pleasure.
thank you. You've been great.
Good job.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.